Sweet. Welcome to episode 2 of Don't Panic, where everybody can come to us and we're going to tell them not to panic.
It's kind of in the name, I guess.
Yeah, right. It's a little obvious. Oh man, what a game. Let's share this link out online, Chris, so we can get people in here. Do we have a link shared out yet?
I am doing it right as we speak.
Cool, thank you.
And it is out.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that game was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was actually, to be honest with you, it actually kind of was a fun game until the end. You know, I don't actually think the Flyers played as poorly as the score represents, but at the end of the day, the same problems persist that they cannot stop a goal to save their life.
Yes.
And
for 53 straight games.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's putting it lightly. You know what I mean? Like, it's Yariv,
it's okay. It doesn't matter. Braun scored.
Right, yeah.
Scored a goal.
Yeah, ain't that the truth, right?
Yeah. Dude, I was telling my dad the other day, I was just messing around. I was like, Dad, you know what would make the season so much better? I was like, if Braun scores. And I joke around with Aaron all the time because we'll sit there and we'll just be messing around. And whenever we play NHL on PlayStation, we always just mess around and just like throw jokes at each other. I always tell him that he plays just like Braun, and he never scores. He kind of shoots at just like kind of like, you know, real soft wrister. I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, Braun is going to score this year. And I think Braun has, 4 goals as a Flyer, and 2 of them are against Pittsburgh.
Hey, Pittsburgh killer, man. I mean, they have Sidney Crosby. We have Justin Braun.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. It's all about taking advantage of your opportunities. And Justin Braun is taking advantage of. I mean, we're making fun of him a little bit, but honestly, he has been like the best. Yeah, he has been the best Flyer defensive defenseman of the year, I guess. But it's just a reflection of where this team is, and they just don't have the poise, man.
No.
It kills me.
Yeah, I know. And I felt like, you know, I was going back and I was watching it because I had recorded it like I do with most games now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of sitting there and I'm watching it. I'm like, dude, like, I find it so weird with Pittsburgh because when they're on their A game, they're on their A game. But like when they play bad, like, it seems like there's no like getting out of them playing bad. You know what I mean? Like it feels like if they play bad the whole game. But when they play good, they're on it the whole game. It's like it feels like there's like no in between. I don't know if that's, you know, that could just be because it's the Flyer. I guess I just noticed that against the Flyers. But I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there's a lot of times it seems like it just seems like the Penguins. I don't know what it is, but the way that they start games against the Flyers for majority of the time, besides, you know, obviously the last game, they're all over it. They always get the early goal. I mean, how many times this year against Pittsburgh they've given up an early goal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the reality is that the Penguins are just a more structured team than the Flyers.
Yeah.
Like you look at the way that even this season has gone, like they didn't start that well. We start off better. We even looked at the better team in the beginning of the season, but they slowly worked on their game, slowly progressed, slowly worked through their problems, and have gotten to the point where they're arguably the best team in the division. And if you look at the names in that lineup, and I talk about this all the time, they're actually not that talented. And again, Mark Friedman's a guy who could barely make our lineup here, and he's been playing in their lineup against us. And yeah, like we ripped him last game, but for the most part, he's been good.
One thing I will say about that though is he could barely get into their lineup because of how good they were playing. After he came back,
right? But listen to what you said, how good they were playing, and that's kind of the key thing.
They were 16-5-2 without Walken.
Yeah, exactly. They can lose their best player, and again, the Flyers did this last year. This is what I was talking about this year. That's why I said this is not a talent issue. People can jump on me all day. I'm not going to budge on that. And I don't care how many people are negative to me online or jump on me. It doesn't matter. I do not change. There's a quote in Remember the Titans that after they throw a brick through his window in Denzel Washington and he's getting interviewed and they say, hey, are you intimidated by this brick? And he goes, I don't dance if I don't hear music. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say to people. Like, I am not intimidated by any single person on Twitter. I don't care. And again, I do want to point something out and to people who do come at me, if you guys do see this at any point, I am open to all other opposing opinions. You're absolutely welcome to criticize anything I say. I actually don't have a problem with that. I notice most people target me, which I think is funny, in particular. That just makes me laugh. Like, that doesn't make me upset at all, and nor is it going to make me change my opinions. I'm here for you guys, for all of these people, and Chris too. I'm here for all of the people who are tired of hearing everybody lose their goddamn mind every other year and start panicking when stuff goes wrong and then everybody needs to go. I don't think that way. The ownership doesn't think that way. As you can see in recent articles, even Comcast doesn't think that way. So I'm here for you guys. Let them yell at me. I don't care. It doesn't do anything. And you can see Chris as well. He doesn't care. Yeah. We believe what we believe. If people don't agree with it, okay, you can go listen to somebody else. It's not a problem.
Yeah, it's not like it's the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's not like we're begging for you guys to, it's not like we have to sit here and kind of just like drone on about our opinions. If you don't agree, you don't agree. That's fine.
Yeah, and the reality is like, if people can tell me I'm wrong or not, I say this: play the long game. Why? Look at that alternating year, the Flyers making it, not making it. So what happens next year when they rebound? Are we going to hear the same complaints? Like last year, I kept hearing Sanheim needs to play top power play over Ghost and over Provorov, and then this year Sanheim sucks.
Yeah, they should trade him. Yeah, they should trade him.
Yeah. I actually heard, and you know what? I'm not going to say his name because I actually really like the guy, so I'm not going to say his name. But I saw even Bill Meltzer step in on this one, where the trade offer was TK or Sanheim for Ehlers, and they're like, "Oh, the Winnipeg is going to hang up the phone." Absolutely not. They're not hanging up the phone. This is all made up stuff. This is what I talk about, panic mode, where you try to sell everything pennies at the dollar because you didn't see what you wanted to see this year. I don't believe in that stuff. And if you do want to operate that way, you're going to find yourself at the bottom of the league consistently. We've seen the Edmonton Oilers do it quite a bit, actually. And I believe they traded Taylor Hall for a defenseman that never really...
Adam Larson.
Yeah, Adam Larson, right? How did that trade go for them? Well, actually, people were bringing up Brind'Amour for Primeau to me. And I thought that was pretty interesting because that's a trade where everybody loves Keith Primeau, right? But did that really make us better?
I don't know. How old was I? Like 3, 4?
I don't even know if you were alive at that point.
I don't know.
No, you were probably pretty young. But again, Keith Primeau was awesome. I loved him, but he wasn't better than Brind'Amour.
Brind'Amour, yeah.
And is Brind'Amour not a great leader? Oh, and Keith Primeau had so many head injuries he couldn't play anymore. And Brind'Amour can play till he's like 50 years old. Something to think about.
I think Brind'Amour's like still ripped right now as coach.
I love Brind'Amour. I love that idea. I think we brought him up last time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the game a little bit, and then we'll go to the questions, guys. So definitely add questions in here. We will be going to you guys for questions as well.
Definitely been going back and forth.
And thank you everybody for joining. We love that you guys came here. So, Chris, let's why don't you go first?
Okay.
What did you think about the beginning of the game? The Flyers actually fought back in this one. They did show fight.
They did.
And everything kind of fell apart. What did you think?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing you want to take out of these games, right? I mean, you're out already. You're mathematically eliminated. I think you got to look at these games as tryouts for next year for some of these guys. And I look at it as like, I want to see some fight. And I don't mean like, actual like fights. I want to see them, play some of their best hockey. And I think these last 2 games have probably been, some of their best hockey of the month of April, even though they haven't necessarily had the outcome like that. I thought the beginning of the game was slow. I mean, the Penguins came out, they were on it, they scored early, had the first, I think 5 of the first 6 shots. So they were obviously coming out. I thought the Flyers actually battled back in that first period, though. They could, they had a couple chances. I think majority of it started after a good shift by the fourth line, which was Lawton, Lindblom, Allison. tonight. And you know what's one thing too? They've gone with the same straight lineup in the last 3 games, but they just switched the goalie.
Jim Jackson mentioned that. That's like the first time we've seen that all year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. I guess maybe they've liked what they've seen.
It's funny because I still don't like the lines.
I don't either, but I've liked what I've seen from them.
I like all the players.
Yeah.
I still talk about. I do not like any of the combinations that AV has thrown out.
No.
Like as a whole, I would say some of the combinations, like individual lines, I've liked. But when he releases his actual lineup, I'm always like, why? Like even the simple fact that he had NAK on the third line instead of giving the opportunity to Allison. You know, and just like little details like that, I'm like, I just don't get it.
Like the other game was the top 6 was G, Coots, TK, Farabee, Hayes, Voracek. That's fine. And that you could switch in and out. Well, the bottom 6 was that same line in the fourth line I just mentioned, which was Lawton, Lindblom, Allison, and then JVR, Patrick, and Albe Kubel.
Yeah.
I really don't like that. Again, I think for the most part I've liked the top 6 for you know the games that they've been together, but
on paper.
On paper.
On paper, you mean?
Yeah. For the lineup, I mean, I don't like the deep pairs either, but I mean, what else are they going to do with them right now? It's funny.
Play a little riskier. To your point, play a little riskier real quick before you move on with the D pairings. Your D already stinks the way you guys play D, and they haven't moved off of it, which again I understand. Again, Braun's stability with Provorov, they really want to give Provorov like a veteran to play with, right? But at the same time, like, come on, hey Pittsburgh fan, you're totally welcome in here. You're not going to troll us. I'm happy to have you. It's really it's not an issue. You're not going to get me upset. I promise you that.
Me and you had no idea. No,
and it's also not a problem for me. Like I don't care. People, I don't actually hate the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I
like Crosby. If you
we talked about our last stream how much we like Sidney Crosby. So yeah, you're gonna be disappointed if you think you're gonna find us getting angry. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry though, Chris. I cut you off.
What I wanted to say was I was kind of going with the top 6. I liked what they've done on paper, but I feel like for the most part, not much of it has gelled.
Right.
On the ice. I think some guys have, but some haven't. Like Farabee with JVR, that worked for a while.
And
right?
And
they broke it up.
and I've been talking about it all year. Yeah. Literally. Penguins fan, I like Crosby more than McDavid if it makes you feel any better. But like literally, I've said this all year. Why did they break up JVR and Farabee? It's what worked of that line when they had Farabee and JVR. It's like I noticed it.
So, I mean, AV said he needed more from them. So why would you?
But in my opinion, he's wrong. Yeah. That's why this is the stuff that like is. And again, I'm not saying that AV needs to be like thrown out the window or anything, but
no.
I don't understand that. Like I watched them play around. They could have put them around any of the centers in the team, and they did not. They chose to break them up and keep one of them with Coots, where it doesn't make sense. You can play Coots with anyone.
The only center they put them with was Coots.
Why didn't they put Patrick with Coots on the right side?
Couldn't tell you.
Like these are things that I would have definitely tried at some point, and I just never saw it happen. And we talked about this before. Maybe it's the lack of practice. You know, maybe they were nervous to do the changes they really wanted to do.
Can you be nervous though?
I mean, if you're losing a lot, you can start playing scared. You know?
I guess, but like I don't know. That's the thing where it's like it's weird though, because like I don't know. Because I would rather like to me I like seeing like those different line combinations that work. You know what I mean? Like there was times earlier in the year like they had one and it was in the comeback game against Pittsburgh to start March. And it was Lindblom with Giroux and Albe Kubel. And you're looking at it, I think that is the weirdest line you could think of. Giroux at third line center with Albe Kubel and Oscar Lindblom, you know, trying to get Lindblom going, and it worked. I think the line combined had 4 points on the night. Giroux had 2 goals, and they ended up coming back and winning the game.
But that's because
then they didn't put it back together.
I think I understand that because I think the reason that line was so successful is because they put they put Giroux against easier opposition, and that's why he dominated. And they're like, yeah, we really can't afford to do this. So that's why you saw Giroux go right back up to the top line as the season went on, because they're like, we don't even have a top line.
I know, but it wasn't even the next game. It's like the next game they broke it up. It's like, I'd like to see some consistency. Like, if you have a line that just came back and got you four points and 2 goals, wouldn't you want to keep that together?
Yeah. And I will say, none of the goaltending has been good enough this year, but it's not on the goaltending. Like, and you, Chris, I've talked to you over about this. Yeah. Watch the passing lanes. I have never seen, I even tweeted this at Chris Terry and he liked my tweet. I have never seen more open passing lanes than I have this year. It is so easy to score goals against the Flyers.
You remember?
So easy.
Remember when they had those handful of games against Washington at home to start March too, going into the middle of March? You know how many times, you know how easy it was for the Capitals? Dude, when I went to the game on the 11th, when I covered for you guys, you know how easy it was for them to break into the zone? The Capitals might be one of the hardest teams to stop when they come out of the zone, right? But the Flyers made it so goddamn easy for them that they had 1, 2, 3 passes. Dude, they had Sprong like turning around, like throwing passes like Matt Barzal. Daniel Sprong.
We made the Devils look like an elite team.
Yes. Dude,
and it's not, again, not a talent issue.
Yeah.
So I look at...
I think a lot of that leads to their play, like defending off the rush too. Because once they are, like, once the team gets into the other zone, the Flyers are screwed. Like, they're just, it looks like they collapse.
Well, they become turnstile. You can see it over and over again. Even if you go back to this game, there are plenty of times where, you know, a Penguin player will take it into the corner, and then you have 2 Flyers will chase him. He'll throw the puck through the middle of the ice.
You see 4 or 5 players like looking at the puck. They don't even have to move to it. They just look at the puck.
Yeah,
and that leads to a lot of problems. Like someone, and I know
we can't stop goals.
Yeah, like there's another Flyers podcast called the Liberty Yell. Their Twitter profile picture is literally 5 Flyers in the crease area at the same time against Buffalo.
Yeah,
trying to block a shot.
Yeah,
5.
Totally agree.
with Moose and like 2 Sabres.
Yeah,
that's like 7, 8 guys in a I don't even know how big of a span that is, but
I know,
still.
Killing me. Chris, let's start going through questions. Let's get people involved here. I feel like people are kind of chomping on the bit. I'll start going down the line here. Let's go to Alex Smith. Panicking. Alex, yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. But I will say definitely don't panic, because it's not going to help. And the other thing is we should be used to this by now. Right? The Flyers have been pretty inconsistent, and you can say you really don't know what's going to happen next year. And let's go actually to Dave. Dave's always on. So panic. Why panic when we have next year? So it's perfect. And honestly, it is important because, you know, people can say that they saw this coming. And I had some people say, I called this. No, you didn't. You didn't call it. Okay. And if you did call it, it's just because you're negative Nancy. The fact that you can go from thinking this team could be at the top of the division to being, they're going to suck next year. That's because that's your mindset.
Yeah.
That's your mindset.
The possibility they could miss the playoffs.
Yes. And there's always a chance that they could miss the playoffs.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean they could play this bad.
Nobody anticipated being the worst defensive team in the league.
Yeah. Having the worst ranked penalty kill.
It just complete collapse, like inability. I mean, you guys see it. They can't stop a goal.
Yeah.
They were not like that last year.
No.
I could see a drop off.
They barely gave up shots on net, regardless of giving up goals.
They were winning back-to-back games against division teams. They dominated this division last year. Well, kind of this division. Right? Whatever the division was. The last year.
The only team they had somewhat of an issue with
were the Islanders.
Yeah. The other one was Pittsburgh, and they split against them. They went 1-1-1. And in all 3 of those games, actually, I should say 2 of the 3, because the Penguins win. They got absolutely smoked early in the year. But I actually went to the overtime loss in Pittsburgh. I was at that game. That arguably is one of the greatest hockey games I've ever watched live.
Yeah.
Like, it was like playoff atmosphere. When it was sold out, it was in Pittsburgh. Dude, it was great.
This year has not felt that way at all.
No.
Hey, Amadeo, can't tell me what to do. Hi, Amadeo. I'll panic if I want. Again, anybody, you guys feel free to do what you want. The idea of this podcast is that we will not do that. So again, I'm not here for that. Chris is not here for that.
It's calming. I'm gonna. You should brew yourself a cup of tea and listen.
We're gonna balance it out. So feel free to panic. It's totally fine. Again, it doesn't bother me, but know that we will not. So that's all I'm saying. Braun actually scored. Yeah, that was awesome. And honestly, good for him though. I mean, we talked about it in the beginning. Good for him. He deserves a goal. He actually played very well this year for what he does.
Yeah.
And I
getting put in the top 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would imagine he's going to be back next year. I don't think the Flyers are interested in moving him at this point. And I don't think he's going to get taken in expansion either. So
I don't either.
Jacob, yes, another live stream. Jacob, thank you for joining again, man. You were here last time, so appreciate that.
Jacob usually comments on a lot of my videos. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Phillies won. I don't really want to bring that up, but that is awesome. All right, slightly off topic, but since the season is pretty much done, in your opinion, who do you protect in expansion? We kind of went through this last time, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I in my opinion, you absolutely protect Patrick. I know people think that that's the X factor. It's definitely not. He's definitely, in my opinion, I don't see how you don't protect him. The guys who will be exposed, we said this last time, Chris, I think you're going to agree with me. It's really going to be the big money guys. Like Voracek will be exposed, most likely, JVR, and then like guys like Ghost. I do think Ghost will probably be taken if he is exposed, which I think he will be.
I think he could be too. With the performance he's had this year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, the price that he's at,
mm-hmm.
the return that he's given, the term of his contract, he's under 30.
And honestly,
not much risk.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I never had a chance to ask you before, so I might as well ask you now. Does Seattle have to get to a certain cap hit, like when they?
Yes. They have to hit the cap floor.
Yeah, which isn't that like 20 million under the salary cap?
Something like that. I don't remember the exact number.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the exactly.
I'm trying to remember if it's remembered from me playing franchise mode on NHL.
Yeah, I don't know even if that number is even going to be accurate because it might have to be determined after they figure out the cap for next year.
Does COVID have to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean it's going to stagnate. Yeah, but all it's going to do is stagnate. So most likely it's going to be the same number that it was. The minimum will be the same number that it was the previous year. So whatever that minimum is,
they'd still have to take bigger contracts then.
Yes.
Remember when you were saying like they could not because of COVID because they might be broke.
It's not that they're going to be broke. It's there's a level of risk involved. Okay, so let's think of it this way. Okay, let's say Jake Voracek is tempting, which I believe he is at $8 million. It still is tempting. I know people don't like that, but I said this to somebody online earlier. I would rather have Jake Voracek at $8 million than JVR at $7. Just saying. I mean, it's an easy decision for me personally. Like Jake Voracek is definitely more worth his money than JVR is, right? So having said that, you have to see who's available, like who's going to be exposed by other teams. If there are several guys exposed at $8 million, $7 million, and they're all like Voracek, then a team might be like, well, I don't want Voracek at $8 million. I want the other guy at $8 million, right? And it's about roles. If they have their top 6 filled in, they still want bottom 6 guys. Right. And those bottom 6 guys will probably be either like really good versions of those, like Thomas Nosek was taken. He was like a generally unknown guy by Vegas, but he had a great Belmar, right? But Nosek was like unknown at the time, but he was really good in the AHL, and they're like, oh, we're going to use him in the NHL, right? It's all about roles, and it depends what's the trade-off. Jake Voracek will be, if he's exposed, one of the best players available. So regardless of what people say, and if Seattle decides that $8 million is worth it because they don't have a better, playmaking option, they're going to go for that. Having said that, that's why I think they're going to go for Ghost, because Ghost at $4.5 million for a guy who's going to play probably on your top power play unit, it's probably worth the money. He's under 30, and he's probably tradable, especially after this TV deal kicks in and the revenue goes up for the league. The other teams will get paid out. So there is some money going to be injected into the league. So that is important.
Could cap go up then?
Potentially, but probably not, because there was so much money lost this year that I think it's more just going to balance out. Because it's not so much about the cap; it's about people. It's about teams' bottom dollar, right? Like how much? Because it's a shared revenue, right? So the NHL is included as all NHL money, but the individual teams themselves, they also have their own budgets, right? They have their staff, their coaching staff, their scouting staff, the people who work the stadiums, they have their GM, right? The assistant GM, all these people get paid, right? They actually get paid money. They're not included in the salary cap though, right? So that's kind of the stuff that they're balancing here. I don't think Jake Voracek is the most likely to get taken, but he is a tempting take if he's available, regardless of what people say.
If Jake's there, I think he gets taken.
I think there's a chance. Could the Flyers even trade an asset to make sure he gets taken? That's possible if they have a deal in the works. Like if they're like, oh, we're going to be signing Dougie Hamilton, so we need $8 million. And again, I'm just throwing out a theory.
Right.
Then it might be worth it for us to be like, hey, we'll give you a second-round pick if you take Jake Voracek because we really need a defenseman and we can get this guy on the open market, but we don't have to trade anything to get him, right? Or you try to move Voracek's money to another team for aging, for an older defenseman. There's a lot of options. To say you're going to be able to predict it at this point, I'm not going to pretend like I can predict it, but I can tell you one thing: leaving somebody like Patrick exposed is absolutely silly. Like he would be the one taken, like without a doubt. A second overall pick at bare minimum cost that for sure can play in your top 9 and most likely will rebound and turn into a top 6 to maybe potential top line forward.
The only thing you have to worry about is just injuries. That's the only thing. Is if he gets like a reoccurring injury or something.
Maybe, but it's still not a big risk because the return, again, the reward is so big. And the thing with a guy like Voracek, he'll sell jerseys. Like Jake Voracek is a superstar in Czech Republic. Like he is a big name.
That's a great point.
He'll sell jerseys. Ghost will sell jerseys. JVR not so much. So that's why Voracek will sell you. He'll put people in your stands.
I love this comment. Why the hell would the Flyers offer anything for someone to take Voracek? He's such a crucial part of this team.
I agree with you.
I do too.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I'm only trying to count to what the comments are being said. And we always have to be open to the fact that
Jake's my favorite player. Like, I don't want to lose Jake.
I don't think the Flyers are really that interested. I don't think they blame them like the fans do. I don't think they're blaming Jake Voracek for the season like we're doing. Or no, I'm not doing it, but like fans are doing it. Right? I think the reality is what is the offseason plan? The Flyers have been working on trades. Fletcher admitted it. And let's shout out to Jamie Baskow about this because I do want to give him credit. And if you guys don't follow him on Twitter, you absolutely should be. Yeah, he runs our media site and he is faster than everybody on updates. Yeah. So,
I see tweets like 3 a.m. from Jamie.
Yeah,
it's like
I get my news from my own partner. So just so you guys are aware of that, he wakes me up.
I get the lines from Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I use for my videos. I just copy and paste his tweet and throw it in my Google Doc.
He is incredible. But one thing we want to point out to you guys, the Flyers have already been in conversations with Arizona. Okay? We know for certain. One, and let me explain why. It's a 2-part answer. So Chuck Fletcher said, we know, and if you go back to the press conference, you'll see this, and this is Jamie's call out. We know that Chuck Fletcher said they know the prices out on the market. They said we know what teams want from us, and we know what they want from. We know what we want, right? They said we know the costs on the market, and part 2 of that is Brent Flahr was over in Arizona like over and over and over again. If you combine that with what I was saying about financial problems, there are teams out there that are going to try to shed salary. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if I'm Fletcher, I'm trying to get OEL. Again, he's a very expensive player at $8 million. You have Voracek at $8 million. Doesn't mean you have to keep Voracek at $8 million. Doesn't mean it's going to be Voracek. Maybe it's a different guy, right? Maybe it's JVR with $2 million retained, or maybe it's Ghost.
Is this like the Gudis Niskanen kind of thing you were telling me the other day?
Right. Yeah. And that's okay. So if you look at the Gudis Niskanen trade, right, we ate $1 million on Gudis. Right?
Yeah, it was 30%.
Right. Niskanen on paper cost $575 plus the $1 million you eat on Gudis. That's a $7 million defenseman. Right? They're not going to be scared of bringing it. That's what you got to pay for a really good defenseman. So again, this is just a theory,
much, which is insane.
What'd you say? Sorry,
they didn't pay much for that.
That's my point because it's about it's about money because the Capitals' incentive was to remove money. That's why everybody wants to throw Voracek aside. Like we need money. We do not need money. We're fine. Yeah. We don't need to panic, and all of our players that we need to sign are RFAs on a down year. So, not the end of the world.
No.
Anything you want to add to this before we move up? We should probably take some other questions too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to go off like the RFA thing you were saying, like, and kind of the guys that have been on down years, like, really the only big ones you have to think about are Sanheim, Patrick, and Hart. And we've talked about Patrick before. I think we talked about it on the last show. I'm having a brain fart on that, but he doesn't have much leverage. He has a little bit more than he did last year because he's played games, but not much. As for Sanheim, I don't really know what would happen with that. I'd have to think he maybe gets. Do you think he gets a similar deal? And as for Hart, I mean, I don't think. I think it's hard for Hart because I feel like it could be like something similar to Murray's deal, but just not as much money. Like he was 4 years
average.
He was 4 years 6.25.
I don't think that Hart is going to get that. No,
I think we'll get like 4 years at 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I can't predict.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm just trying to throw something out there.
No. I think what you said is completely reasonable. I don't think you said anything wrong. But my thought is this, okay? I like to role play when I do this stuff, right? That's the only thing I can do, right?
Yeah.
Is I can tell you how I would be if I was a GM. And I'm looking at 3 young players. I'm looking at a down year, and I'm looking for the case where they probably want some guarantee, right? You saw what happened with COVID. I would try to take advantage of it. I would try to sign Patrick long-term cheap. That's what I would try to do. What, I can't trade him later? Or, okay, let's say he does.
They give him 3 years at the same thing, like 800,000, whatever it was?
They wouldn't get, no, I don't think that's possible. But maybe you can get him 3 years at $2 million. Maybe you can get him a 2 years at 1.5. But these are the type of things that I would try with Patrick, because what is the risk? Like, what's the problem?
If it could be like 2 years, like 1.3 or 1.2, like that's fine.
But literally, like, let's say Patrick is a bust, which I don't believe. But let's just say, right? Let's say he has another injury and his career ends. Okay, so people were talking about selling the Comcast should sell the team. That is the most childish shit I've ever heard. Guys, we want financial stability. They're one of the richest company in the world. You want them to give up. Why? So then we can worry about just firing people. I just talked about Arizona not having money. Like, I can't stand this stuff.
That's great.
And just so you guys know, I worked for Comcast. I've sat in rooms with Brian Roberts, the rich billionaire guy who owns the team. He's obsessed with the Flyers. He's not selling the team. So I don't even know. Again, this is just made up media stuff. They do this, they create stuff, and they create churn and burn. People get angry at me. I see it every goddamn year. They make stuff up. They get everybody all riled up like it's possible. It's not possible, and it's not even a good idea. Though I get it. I don't like Comcast. I want to make that clear too. I don't like them. I don't like them.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a bad idea. What were we talking about? I'm sorry, went off topic.
Sanheim, Myers, Sanheim and Hart, they're like RFA deals.
Yeah, look, they have agents. Hart knows he's a star. He might take a short-term deal, but again, if I were Hart, I would bet on myself for sure.
Yeah.
But I think all of them are going to get locked up for a reasonable number, and I think, like we saw, if I was Fletcher, I would sign Sanheim long-term right now. I'd give him a 5-year deal at $3.5 million or $4 million because it's cheap. Could you give him
Lawton's deal?
What?
Lawton's deal? 5 years, $3 million?
I would love to try it. Will he take it? Mm-hmm. He had a down year. Maybe he's not as confident in himself. I think he's going to be great.
It's less money, though, because he was 2 years, 3.25.
He's going to want money, but I think
5 years, 3.5 could work.
Let's be real, maybe 4. No.
Okay,
right?
That's fine.
But again, I would love to do that. All these things are manageable, though, too. And the one thing we have to realize is, like, they like Robert Haig and all that. York and
have him moved, you think, in a trade?
I do. I think he could get moved to Arizona or somebody else. I don't think they're looking to dump him, but Zamula looked really good. Let's be honest. He looks really good in a cup of tea.
I want to ask you this too.
Yeah.
They got 3 games left. You think we see York in any of them?
I would hope, but he got injured the one game. I think they should.
He's back.
Yeah, no, I said he got hurt early, so I don't know. Maybe they want to be tentative with him.
Yeah.
But I think they should. The problem is, who do you sit? You know what I mean?
Myers.
But why? Do you see what I mean? Like, we're down on Myers, but the organization's not gonna be. Like, if you're down on Myers, you're gonna trade him.
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Because otherwise you have to protect him. So what, you're going to bench him again and then protect him? Maybe. Look, they could. He's been benched a bunch. And Jamie, a shout out to Jamie again. I mean, he called this out, and I think he might be right. I mean, Myers could still be injured for all we know. And he's just playing through injury.
Yeah.
He's been injured all year.
You said that earlier about Hayes, like earlier in the year, too, which ended up being that he wasn't 100%, but obviously could have been better, which they talked about.
I wish Hayes didn't have that no movement clause. It was the one thing I didn't like when they signed him, because I really wanted
a comment that we have here.
All right, yeah, feel free to put up more comments.
Anyone think they asked Hayes to waive his no move clause and be exposed?
I think they could try. I think his answer is going to be absolutely not.
Yeah,
he baked into that contract.
The reason he wanted to be here long term. I think they wanted him long term too.
Absolutely, and I don't think they necessarily. They are not us. They are not Flyers Twitter. I really want to emphasize that. People attack me online like I don't know what I'm talking about. If you see people behave like this who are running companies, they should be fired. And I don't care if people don't like that. I've seen some young people online get mad at me for that. I don't care. I work in the real world. When you see people behave like that, they usually lose their job shortly afterwards. And I've been very harsh on AV this year, which I don't know why people don't notice that. I've been very harsh on him. And then I gave him some credit for being poised. Look, he called us some players in the media. I'm like, okay, I see all the signs of a guy about to get fired. But then he stopped. And he stopped doing that. He stopped calling guys out.
He also didn't panic either. He kind of kept everything together. It's the same thing with Fletcher. We talked about this last episode. Like,
yes,
nothing he did was reactionary.
Correct.
He didn't do a single thing after the month of March.
Yes.
He could have talked about 10 different things.
I brought this up last time, and it's very interesting because Dave Scott had that. There's like that comment that Dave Scott said they're not going to blow up the team, obviously, as if he even needs to say. To me, he doesn't need to say that. Maybe to Flyers, Twitter, and everybody else, sure. To me, I'm like, that very idea of blowing up a team that just got through a rebuild is laughable to me, and I don't care if people get offended by that. It doesn't make any sense. You want more first-round picks, more young players in the organization. Why? You don't have enough?
Fun. I was on a podcast the other day, and we were kind of talking about this, and we were kind of just saying, like, our first round picks really that valuable this year to the Flyers, and I don't think they are. Like, I would rather them. Like, I don't even think they're going to use their first round pick this year. I think they're going to trade it.
Flyers?
Yeah, I think they'll trade it by the time the draft comes around.
I think that's very reasonable. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't either.
Right?
But I would.
But I understand why you say that, because it's an asset. We need we need a big defenseman. We need this defenseman. Yeah. We have money.
I don't think this team is in a spot to where it's like, oh well, we need a draft pick.
Right.
We don't want to Stanley Cup. I'm tired of like, oh, the draft. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say it like that, but like, you get my point. Is like, I want to focus on winning.
Right, but they're going to be somewhere in between. Remember that, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be your attitude because they really want to win also.
Yeah.
But they're also going to be, we're probably going to hate that I say this, they're also going to play the long game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're also going to say, okay, well, we can't just panic just because our team didn't do that well and just throw it. But somebody wants that first round pick.
Yeah. I mean, you have to lose before you can win. Like, we see now with like, I mean, if you look at like the last like handful of teams that have won the Cup, we've seen that with all of them. Like the Caps, for example, like St. Louis, Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of teams that are like that.
St. Louis went out there and filled out their roster with a bunch of UFAs. But as we saw, it's not that they collapsed the following year, but it's not sustainable to do that type of stuff.
No.
And not that they got lucky. I mean, they earned every bit of that championship, right? They're a very good team.
Worst team in the league at one point.
Yeah. That's the thing. The Flyers are going to look at this as like, okay, what are our actual needs? Our defense did not play well, and it wasn't just a talent issue.
Yeah, I mean, after all those years, the Caps like were losing in the second round. You think how many other fans you think were saying to get rid of the guys like Ovechkin, Kuznetsov,
I love your point. Absolutely,
and Carlson.
Absolutely. I mean? How many fans were saying that about the Penguins this season? Said, hey, maybe it's time to trade Malkin.
Or Tampa Bay with Stamkos and Palat.
After they lost in the first round?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people were saying, blow it up? This isn't the right group. We don't have the right combination. Look, we lost to Columbus in the first round, right?
Oh, here we go. I want to pull this one up.
Yeah.
You play the long game, you lose valuable age on the core that would help us win the cup. I love the patient approach, but you have to move that pick.
I mean, go ahead, Chris.
I see this, but I also don't because and again, it's
we
not
agree. We're like 50-50, right?
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, because I feel like people just they underestimate how many years the Flyers, older guys like Jake have left.
Yes,
to play.
They definitely have time. They definitely have time left in the league. Like, look at Ovechkin, guys. And not that we have Ovechkin, but people keep shitting on Giroux, and I don't understand it. Like, I would rather have Claude Giroux at $8 million than Jonathan Toews at 10.5. And Jonathan Toews didn't win that championship by himself.
No.
They had an amazing team.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with
he's a great player. I love him, but it's a lot of money for a guy who never even put up Giroux-like numbers.
Yeah, and it was someone was arguing with me the other day in my comments, like something about like, you know, teams that have like cores and everything. Because again, I said this to you before. I said it last time. The Flyers don't have a core. It's not 3 players, and he was just like naming the teams that won cups and was saying 3 guys. And for Chicago, he said Toews, Kane, and Keith. I'm like, you're forgetting Shaw, Saad, Seabrook, Crawford.
Bufflin was the number 1 defenseman after he left for Winnipeg. Ladd. These are all, they had a Patrick Sharp. They had a ridiculously deep team, and Brad so did the Flyers. Let's make it clear right now. This is my opinion. If you want to win a championship, and Chris, I know you're going to agree with me, all of your lines need to be good. All of them.
Dude, look at Washington.
All of them.
Look at Washington.
And look at Toronto, who and actually I want to talk about a tweet that Jim had, Angry Jim. I really like Jim, just for everybody's aware. I know some of his people attack me, but I could care less. I really like him. Me and him are cool, and I love him as a person. Actually,
I do too, Jim.
I get along with him really well. He had a great tweet actually about what's his name? Austin Matthews. Matthews is killing it this year, dominating, right? And you look at this guy and you go, oh my God, I wish the Flyers had a guy like this. They do. Claude Giroux, without support, dominated at that age. Having said that, Austin Matthews is a generational type of player.
Yeah.
He is a step above Jim. I'm being honest. He's a step above. He's Alexander Ovechkin-esque. That's the type of caliber player they have.
I love this comment.
It really is. But hold on, let me finish this statement.
Go ahead.
He's having a monster season because his team is awesome. Yeah. I know that that's crazy for people, but you have to roll as a unit to have a great production year.
And people aren't realizing it too. Like, Marner's having just as good as years as he is.
And we both listen to Dangle. How often were they talking about trading Marner last year?
Yeah.
Almost every episode.
Lander.
So when are we going to move on to Marner? He's clearly not that good. Blah, 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 blah. Toronto is literally Philadelphia on steroids. And those guys are smart. Yeah. Steve Dangle is smart. He knows hockey well.
Yeah.
But they panic. Yeah. That's the one downside.
Toronto talks about hockey like Philadelphia does the Eagles.
I think they're even worse.
Those guys could sit there for 3 hours and talk about who could play second pairing on the PK for the Leafs.
And who owns Toronto? Rogers. Do you think that they're complaining that they have a incredibly wealthy team that owns their franchise? Like, woe is me. Oh, how could we have it? Look at the teams that don't have wealthy organizations. It's a nightmare.
I honestly think the Leafs have the biggest locker room in the league, and it's that big because of the media.
I like this comment here about Austin Matthews too. I want to get to that afterwards. Yeah, no, the media in Toronto is crazy. Hold on, let's go through this one real quick. These people dump on G, either number 1, people don't actually watch the games, or 2, trolls. I agree, and I don't know if it's so much trolls, because I do think there's some trolling in there, but I really think it's this kick them while they're down type of thing. You know, it's like you wait for the down moment and go, ha, I told you they stink. But then when they're killing it, you hear crickets, you know, because it's really, life is always like this. It always is like this. Every player outside of one or two guys. There's a reason that Connor McDavid and Crosby and Ovechkin, and I'll throw Matthews in there, are generational caliber players. It's because every year they're dominating. Every year, independent of their team. That's what makes them generational. Elite is the level underneath that does great regardless. And when their team does really well, they hit that extremely high level. So generational is Lemieux, Gretzky, right? Guys who play above their team regardless. But we're literally talking about 1 to 5 guys, and typically those guys do it for like a season or two, like Giroux was able to do. He did it for 4 or 5 years, but it's really not sustainable. And we'll see how Austin Matthews does over time. And to this comment here, when did Austin Matthews go to a cup at that age? He didn't. And I love this point because he didn't. He didn't do what Giroux. Giroux was in a cup when he was younger, and he was a huge part of that team. That team was very deep, though, right? He started off on the third line. Yeah. That's how good that team was. Like, he was the best center, but still.
With Ashram and that's right.
He played with Gagne, I think, a lot.
Yeah.
He played with Gagne. But again, we had Richards, we had Carter. We had a ridiculous team. I mean, we need a Pronger. We do. I mean, we need a Shea Weber, a Pronger, Ryan McDonough. If
Ryan Suter.
Oh my God, can you imagine getting Ryan Suter here? Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. These are the guys who can change our franchise. These are the guys who can really change, the tone of our team. And I think that's what Fletcher's going to look to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, yes, he goes, Rogers owns the Jays too. Yeah. I mean, I think Comcast, did they ever own the Sixers? I probably made that up. I know it was Pat Croce or whatever.
I don't know.
Back in the day.
Sure.
I think Ed Snyder was and I just want to say something. People were talking about selling and that it's Comcast's fault. I'm not too young to remember this. People blamed Ed Snyder for the Flyers not winning a cup. Just so I remember that very well. And I love Ed. I truly do. I mean, I cried when not really, but kind of. Like, I got very emotional when Ed Snyder died. I mean, that guy is a hero in this city. And people still said, oh, it's his fault. He's too close to the team. He loves them too much. Now it's they don't love them enough. They're not involved. There's always a different excuse.
Yeah, everybody's like this, this team changed after Snyder died.
Everybody says that. They did. And I would argue Comcast culture stinks.
Yeah.
But it's not their culture there. It's Chuck Fletcher. Who hired Fletcher? Paul Holmgren. Like, we're making excuses. The reality is we weren't prepared enough for this year. And in my opinion, I think it has to do a lot more with conditioning and attention to detail. And they better come ready next year.
Detail is the biggest one.
It's pathetic this year. I mean, look, I'm angry.
Oh, yeah.
This team can't stop a fucking goal. I'm sorry to curse, but they can't stop a goal.
No,
it drives me insane. I've never seen, I mean, I have, but I haven't seen them play this poor defense in a long time, and they're too talented to do so.
The other day I saw a tweet. They have the second worst team goals against average since the 06-07 season. And this was before tonight's game, and they gave up 7 goals.
Unacceptable. And
if the season keeps going like this, it could get worse to where it's the worst all time, which was 3.75 in 93-94. I think they were at 357 before the game.
And they had Eric Lindros, I believe, in 93-94 as well. I think that is it the season before they got him?
Maybe the season before. 94-95?
Yeah, that might have been the season before. That's why they probably drafted so high. Mm-hmm. I think they had a number 6 pick. That's where they took Forsberg, and they traded Forsberg for Eric Lindros, or Forsberg plus all these other good players.
Yeah,
for Eric Lindros. That's how good Eric Lindros was, though. And yeah, I agree. There's a lot of nuance that people lose on Twitter to this comment here. And it's fine, but it's also the hubris behind it is what drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And here another comment about Snyder. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't like Comcast. I work for them. They're toxic. It's not fun, But they have a lot of money, and at the end of the day, you want to be able to go to your boss, to Dave Scott, and say, "Hey, man, I need $10 million to go sign John Tavares." You know what I mean? You want to be in those conversations. If you don't have a team that makes money, you're not in those conversations. You got to sit back.
Yeah. Honestly, I want to get to this comment here.
Sure, go ahead.
This one about
What, Lawton?
Yeah, because I talked about this the other day on a different podcast, and we were kind of talking about how, like, if the Flyers would have moved Lawton for a first-round pick, because I think he could have got moved for a playoff rental.
Easily.
And I was
obviously
like,
it was worth that.
I was like, easily. I was like, I mean, look at last year with Coleman and Gaudreau. I'm like, Lawton could have got moved for a first. I'm thinking to myself, well, should they have done that? And the other two guys were kind of saying, like, you know, they thought that if they did, they could have used that for a bigger trade. But, like, I would rather have Lawton. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just, like, lose Lawton like that.
Well,
because then you can, and then they were kind of saying, like, well, then you could sign him in free agency. I'm like, well, then you still
he would. Whoever was trading for him, was not letting him go.
That rarely works out. Like maybe 10% of the time.
But Scott Lawton's is a relatively young guy, as I was saying.
Yeah.
If he was going to be traded to a team, this is why he got signed. Mm-hmm. Is that Fletcher recognized whoever he was going to trade him to was going to sign Lawton.
And I think from the beginning, he said he was protecting him.
Yeah, which that I was a little surprised about. You know what I mean?
I wasn't, though, because if you think of what he did in Minnesota, like, it makes sense.
Well, just with the amount of players to protect, but again, like what we were talking about, the fact that he's going to expose big contracts, because I think he's going to be generally confident that they're like, you're not going to touch my most expensive players because you're going to go for like Ghost, right? Or you're going to maybe go for it. I don't know who they're going to go for. Maybe we don't know yet. Maybe they do end up trading Phil Myers in a large package to get an elite defenseman. For all I know, I don't think they're going to, but we don't know exactly what they're thinking. The one thing I will say, you can still trade Lawton.
Yeah.
It's like you can still move this guy if you really want to. I don't think they do.
Is great.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not an issue. Like you really want to hold on to guys that you think are great. Picks are awesome, but we're not in a position where we need picks.
No.
Our cupboard is completely full.
Yeah. So we are loaded with picks.
And we have all of our picks this year and then some. So like
no, we have all of our picks.
But I'm saying and then some. We have additional ones, right, from the trades we did make, right?
No. We have, because what we traded,
previous year.
Yeah. So what we did was we moved the 7th, I think, the year before, right. And then the only 5th that we have is the Raffle one.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So again, he just broke even for us, right? Mm-hmm. And that should show you Fletcher's intent. Yeah. That this offseason is going to be a lot more boring than people are expecting.
So the picks we have the Flyers have their own 1st through 4th, Vegas is 5th, and then their own 6th and 7th.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Chris, for correcting me. So again, you have to look at it in a case where expansion is a big part of this, because Fletcher's going to look to take advantage of that instead of the last time where he got his butt kicked. Yeah. He got his butt handed to him in expansion.
Yes.
So he's going to come in with a new plan this time, and it's not going to be, let me trade picks away to keep whatever guy. Like, I think it's going to be more of like, hey, I got a lot of good players. Have at it, Hoss. But whatever you're taking is going to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
So at least I'm going to have a bunch of caps. So if you take Jake Voracek and I lose him for nothing, I'm going for Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going for Hamilton. Yeah. Or I can grab a big contract off another team because I have the cap space, and I can go get OEL. And I can give up my first, or I can give up Ghost and a first to get OEL, right? Something like that. But again, we're just theorizing. We have no idea what actually is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this like predicting this stuff is like insane. One other thing I wanted to talk about, we put it in the title. I don't think we brought it up yet. Albie Kubel.
Okay.
I know I don't remember if I was talking to you or somebody else about it, with NAK, but I don't feel like I don't think he's had the best year, but
no, we could say about a lot of guys.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's kind of where I'm getting at too, is like, he's young, he's more aggressive. I think he's taking a lot of penalties. I think he's actually second on the team in penalties, might be first.
He could be the guy taking expansion.
Yeah. I was just going to bring that up too. Yeah. He definitely could be. And one thing I think I'll say about him too is that he's aggressive, excuse me. And I feel like he takes those penalties that are kind of just like unnecessary, where it's like, he's got like a hold or like a slash or something like that. It's the ones that you can definitely avoid. Some of them are, kind of, ticky-tack calls, whatever, but He's taken a lot of them where it's either been they've scored or they've made the game 3-1, 4-1. He's had a lot of rough penalties this year.
He reminds me of Ryan Hartman a lot. It's a very, very similar player to Ryan Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Ryan Hartman was a late first-round pick. NAK was a second-round pick. These are the type of guys
early
you get.
First round, right?
What'd you say?
He was early second round, I mean?
I think so. I don't remember exact number.
Because, he wasn't. I know he was second, but...
He was a high scorer in juniors, but it was in the queue, so it's like... doesn't necessarily count because the queue is like pretty easy to score in comparison to the other leagues.
And I remember when someone was kind of saying that it took him a while to find his game in the AHL and everything. I'm like, because
that's not true. That's not true. And he was a very good two-way player in the AHL for a while. I think he got suspended a lot. So
because he's aggressive.
I like this one. One of the three has to go. I don't agree with that statement. But I understand why you say that because I feel that way. But we have to, again, if we want to think like the GM, not like fans, that's the important thing here.
Yeah.
It's easier for us being people on the outside who don't know these people, who don't know any of the inside stories. And again, it's easy to go, Michael Terran runs the power play and Mike Yeo runs the penalty kill. The reality is that it's a coaching staff.
Yeah.
And they make the decisions together. And there's a reason why Ian LePerriere ran the PK and then didn't get fired, right? Like everybody thought LePerriere was going to get fired. Now he lost the PK duties. Like my thing with both of the assistants is that Yo is Fletcher's guy and Terrian is AV's guy. And typically you don't just fire the assistants and force the head coach. I think they're going to get another chance.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a big fan of Michael Terrian.
I'm not either.
I wasn't before he came here either. Yeah. He was I'll say this, my least favorite, I'm saying it in a nice way, my least favorite NHL coach.
Yeah.
I was concerned about him to begin with.
It's not that I didn't I was okay with it because I was like, all right, it's something different. And then I
didn't like what he did in Montreal.
Yeah.
I didn't like the work that he put in. Sorry, go ahead. I'd love Pronger here. I would love that. I talked about hiring him as GM actually, because I remember that was rumored. I was like, oh my God, that'd be amazing if Chris Pronger was there. Can you imagine anybody negotiating with that man? He is terrifying.
Yeah.
He is. He's incredibly intimidating human being.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, what I was saying was the power play. I didn't like the power play at all last year, and this year I still don't like it, even though it seems like they've done some stuff that I've said, but it's been too late.
Mm-hmm.
I do give Terrian credit though, because he tried to switch up something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean, he put G on the right side, clearly didn't work. I think I was talking about this with Bill Meltzer a while back, and remember that day I made that whole thread on Twitter, and I talked about the power play. And
woke up on a mission.
I went off like a madman. I sat there, was just typing away. My thumbs were cramping for 2 hours. And one thing that me and Bill were talking about that I had asked him was there was a specific power play goal they scored last year against Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably will remember it because it's the only time they did the setup and it worked once. It was a play where they won the faceoff and Voracek came out to the point. And the way they won the faceoff, it was weird, but they did it and it worked. Voracek went out to the point, or it might have been Provorov. It could have been Provorov out at the point. Okay, that's fine. Or Jake. Well, G stayed low in the right-hand corner, and he fed Coots for a one-timer on the opposite side on the circle there, over the net, and they scored low on a one-timer. Mm-hmm. And this was against Washington. I think that put the Flyers at 1-0 in the game. It was the game that they won 7-2. And remember back when all they were talking about was Ovechkin scored 700 goals and Giroux got his 800th point? Yeah, it was that night. Blew them out on the road. And they never did it again. And Bill was kind of saying that G prefers to play on the right side or on his side. And I get that.
Yeah.
Right. And then this was also kind of before when they called up Allison and we were talking about could they maybe we were both saying put Allison in the bumper. And if not, use TK. That's what I was saying. I think Bill was kind of more preferring of using Allison, and then I also brought up what you had said before to me about Voracek. Could Voracek maybe go in the middle? I remember you were on the live stream one time, and you were saying like, could Voracek maybe go in?
They never tried him there ever.
Yeah, they never did. And I don't think Bo agreed. He said that
they won't use him there.
No, because I think he was. I don't remember exactly what he said. I think he was saying that he doesn't tip pucks very well.
Correct. That's why they won't do it. Right.
Yeah, and I think the way he shoots too is he'd rather be more open.
Here's the problem though. That's the only reason that I wouldn't put him there. So, and then I look at the results of the power play and I go, he's 6'3". He actually is good at getting a one-timer off.
Is like, when do they ever try to do the tip in the middle?
They don't. That's what I was about to say. I was like, it doesn't work unless it's JVR at this point.
Right.
Why
can't you just try it?
What bothers me is that I've said this. I think I said this on the last live stream. There are too many options on the power play.
Yeah, dude, I've said it for months. Just let Ghost fire from the point.
I want precision. There's a reason guys aren't shooting. They don't know who the shooter is.
Exactly. I've said this since like the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
You need someone to be a shooter.
And this shooter.
You have a bunch of guys that can shoot.
Well, look at, again, combine that with all the lineup changes, combine that with the amount of rotations that they do on a power play. They've actually kind of slowed down on that. I think they actually kind of noticed, to be honest with you, because there's a lot less like rotating on the power play.
Well, think about it now. Like the power play's been doing good. And look at what, they had the power play goal last night.
It's doing okay.
Yeah, it's
doing better, but not
better. Right. It's still not
our special teams stink this year.
It's terrible.
Our penalty kill is pathetic.
But I will say, it has looked better in the recent 2 games they've played.
And that's unfortunately, people hate this, but we have to be paid. We have to see what happens next year.
Yeah. Why? But I want to get your thoughts on this. And I think you're going to agree with me. Why can't they just load a unit? Like, do they have to have 2 units?
That's and you know what the funny part is when we had 1 unit, everybody complained about the second unit being ineffective.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
I want 1 unit that I can put out there that will dominate that shift and do work.
Yeah.
And a quick execution. That means 1-2 pass shoot. 1-2-3 pass shoot.
Dude, go back and look at their power play goals.
That's what I'm saying. That's why everybody says, "Where's Joey Mullen?" That's why we keep saying that. It was simple and effective.
And I love how and Bill. I brought this up we
keep talking about Bill Meltzer. He's so smart.
I know, because he's a legend.
I know. It's so easy to bring him up.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it, and he was just kind of saying like, I never really understood like why people talk about like how power plays are predictable. And I said to him, I was like, the Capitals, I think, have literally had the same power play setup for a decade.
Yeah, I was talking about that last time. I was like, Ovechkin's gonna shoot.
And
why can't you stop him?
And dude, the thing is, when he's not open, you have 4 other guys. You have Oshie in the slot, Carlson at the point. It's the same thing with Boston. If Pasternak isn't open, you have Bergeron in the slot. You have Marchand down low. You have, I think, Grzelcyk or McAvoy at the point. I don't know who quarterbacks are power play that well.
It would be McAvoy primarily, but I think he's had injuries this year to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's Grzelcyk right now.
Okay. He's had a good season.
Yeah, I know Mike Riley was too for their second unit, I should say. But yeah, I mean, like I want them to just stack the unit, and I didn't mind it last year when they went to the double net front because that started the work, and then it kind of fell off a little bit, and then they kind of started changing stuff, and then COVID happened, so we never really saw much of it.
Yeah, and we should talk about that a little bit. I mean, we probably don't take it seriously enough, but the fact that a good chunk of our team got sick at a very crucial part of the season, and then weren't able to practice and just kept having back-to-back games.
Yeah, they didn't have 2 days off until April 6th, something like that.
I will say it probably created the spiral that we've seen.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't call it, but it's not an excuse.
It's not. Exactly. It's not an excuse. We all hate it. Trust me. And I know that, in my opinion, they don't see it as an excuse either. But the reality is that this is a game of inches. And if our team wasn't that prepared, which if you look at the beginning of the season, they really weren't. Like they were winning games, but they didn't look their best, right? So as soon as we got rocked by COVID, the wheels came off. And that's if I'm Fletcher, and I think this is why Hart was benched. You know, that's why he was taken off, because they're like, what's the point? Risk getting him injured going into next season. We have a short off season. Fletcher has a bunch of moves to make. He's got players to sign. We have expansion. And again, the season is going to come very fast for us. It's not going to be like a normal off season, right?
I think the Flyers are going to be one of the biggest teams, biggest stories.
Oh, I mean, they kind of have to be to something. Yeah. They have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to do something. I don't think they have to go out and outbid for Hamilton.
No.
But if they can get a guy like Ryan McDonough in here, right? Like,
oh my God.
People ignore that with Tampa Bay, but like Victor Hedman's amazing. He's incredible. And by the way, he wasn't very good when he was younger. He was drafted with very high expectations, and he struggled early in his career. He's also a big defenseman. That tends to happen. But they have an awesome core of defensemen, and having a guy like Ryan McDonough, who is legit, he was a number one defenseman, or was in his prime, was a number one defenseman. They added him to that D, and that just took that team to the next level. It took Victor Hedman's game to the next level. And we saw what happened when we added Niskanen in. I saw Will Niskanen come in and retire. I don't think so, but it's nice to dream about. Yeah. But if we can bring in a guy like that, that could be enough of a game changer. Like Chris mentioned, Ryan Suter. I mean, that would be incredible. And we know that Fletcher recognizes. I mean, he went out and got Suter and Parisi. And look how it worked out, by the way. It didn't.
Yeah.
So it is important to remember that just because we want to go out and buy the farm and do all this stuff,
it doesn't mean it's going to work.
It doesn't mean it's actually going to work. That's why
like one player is going to solve this.
Right. Now, we need to solve it as a team. Yeah. We need to solve it as a team, but there's no doubt. If you just look at sheer paper, on paper transaction, we have a large glaring hole in the top four. Even with Sanheim and Myers doing well. Like Braun is not a top four defenseman. Ghost can't play defense to the level we need him to in that, and neither can Sanheim and Myers right now, right? Like Ghost had better season than both of them. So I'm like shitting on Ghost.
Look like he can.
Yeah, at least Provorov he's had probably way too much work to do this year. Yeah. We are overburdening him. And remember, he's Myers' age. Everybody forgets that, but like they're like, oh,
Sanheim's older than him.
Yeah. And they're still not, like, defensemen do not stop developing until really like the age 27, 28.
Sanheim is older than him, and Provorov made the league before him.
Yeah, Amadeo is saying you need a top four vet to play with Sanheim. I mean, I would say Provorov, because we need somebody in there. And I know people were talking about like Savard, Jalmerson. I don't think these guys are good enough. At that point, we have Braun. I need a legit
those guys were
top
like
pairing guy.
Those guys were like, let's try to stop the bleeding. Let's try to fill in somebody and see who's
exactly.
UFA. Like,
exactly.
That's what that was.
Right, exactly. And if Dougie Hamilton's a UFA, which I'm under the, I don't believe that he will make it. I think if Carolina was smart, they would trade away other guys and sign Dougie Hamilton. But they have
They have enough money to sign him. The only issue with them is both of their goaltenders are free agents, Mrazek and Nedeljkovic. I think
they should go find a new goalie anyway.
I will say though, I think that Nedeljkovic, I can't even say his name. He's really good. I don't trust Carolina. I don't think Mrazek's good.
Right, Mrazek's not going to be the guy they're gonna let Hamilton go from Mrazek. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole point. What did I want to say? I think if Fletcher wants to be aggressive, and we saw them do this before, why not trade a pick for early rights to sign Hamilton? If you're really serious about him and you really think Dougie Hamilton is the answer, then you go out and you trade a pick to negotiate with Hamilton early. Bring him in and sign him long term. Having said that, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, neither. I think Carolina is very, very, very stupid if they let Hamilton walk.
They have an opportunity to negotiate. They have other defensemen. They have Slavin, obviously. They have Pesci. They have other good defensemen. I mean, they have Brady Shea. They have other good guys. But, I mean, why get rid of your top pairing guy?
Exactly.
Why not just get rid of another guy?
Him and Slavin are their 1A, 1B.
Yeah, and they have expansion.
I don't think they're 1A, 1A.
Yeah, exactly. So we need another. I know people are talking about Seth Jones. It's not likely that we're getting Seth Jones. I would love it. Listen, I'm not stupid. He's amazing. You know, I would trade. A
Could you
nice
imagine
package
Nashville
for
with him right now?
What?
In Nashville, still with
That I don't want to be Nashville, right? I don't want
no.
no.
Just
To your point,
yeah.
I don't want to make that type of stupid trade, right? I don't want to be like, oh, we need a center, so let me trade Seth Jones
but
for
like
a guy who's not good enough.
Imagine Nashville's roster right now: Yossi, Jones, Ellis, Ekholm. Like they'd be so much better.
I want to look something up actually. I totally agree with you.
I think they have Fabro too, which isn't bad bottom pairing.
Yeah, I mean
this is good. This could be something from Amadeo. I don't think Carolina is going to give Hamilton the money he wants.
And that might be the case, but what kind of money does he want? Like,
he's a top pairing defenseman. I guess my guess is what, 7-8.
My guess he wants around 7 to 8 million. Probably whatever Jacob Trouba was demanding. Oh man, Roman Josi was a -11 this year. He stinks. I'm totally kidding.
I know.
I wanted to see something about Roman Josi actually.
Dude, I hate seeing these tweets.
What?
Like someone tweeted, "Imagine this was a full season, then something would have happened already." You dope.
And I mean, if it was a full season, everything would be different. We would have had more practices. The schedules wouldn't have been dealing with COVID. There would have been more opportunity to make trades. I mean, it's all shoulda, woulda, couldas, you know? And I get it, but it's like I don't know if it really helps us to even consider stuff like that. I wanted to look at Roman Josi to see what age he really took off, you know, because he played in the AHL first. Yeah. First, he started off in the AHL, and then he did okay with the Predators. So this is what I want to point out to people. Provorov is ahead of Josi in development cycle. And Josi is one of the best defensemen in the league.
He just won the Norris.
Yeah. He's top 5.
Yeah.
And this is what we were saying. Provorov, in my opinion, is still highly exceptional. We just need to find somebody to complement him. Maybe Hamilton's that guy. I'm not opposed to that idea. You know, I'm really not. I like Hamilton. You know, I like Hamilton. We had an opportunity to draft him. We went with Sean Couturier instead. And I mean, I think we actually made the right decision there. In my opinion, you know, just throwing that one out there. And we got yelled at for that decision too. We actually got yelled at for. Is it Hamilton or Oli Mata? We passed up on Oli Mata too, and everybody hated us for that one too. Oh, Scheifele. I mean, look, nobody knew Scheifele was going to be what he is right now. I mean, only a handful of teams really expected him to be. He skyrocketed up towards the draft.
Did someone have injuries? Is that
awesome.
why?
He's awesome. I love Scheifele.
Yeah.
What?
Did someone have injuries? Is that
what do you
why
mean, that draft year?
Yeah, like did someone drop and he went up, or?
No, they just scouted him, kind of like they just saw something in him that other people like. If you look at Elias Pettersson,
that was the Jets with Hellebuck too.
Sure, yeah. But it happens all the time. I mean, again, we have our own steals. People don't like to talk about. They only like to talk about our misses.
Yeah, but no, and everybody wants to make it like that. Everybody wants to make it like that. Every guy that we've gotten is like
a bust.
Been right there for us to take.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Everybody's upset about Cole Caulfield. I can understand
that. Was a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Like Oscar Lindblom's 5th-round pick. Dude, go back and look at the 2014 draft.
Lindblom's a humongous steal.
The Flyers 2014 draft was great for the Flyers.
The Flyers, if you actually looked,
Albie Cabell, Lindblom.
If you look at our drafts pre-Hextall, we actually were not that great at drafting.
Mm-mm.
We had a lot of misses. Hextall really cleaned up our system.
If they had a good pick, it felt like they traded it away.
They traded them all away aggressively.
Like
Holmgren was very well. Spiza never. We ruined him kind of. He never panned out.
Yeah, but didn't they get rid of him early? And then he ended up turning out to be pretty solid.
Yeah, but we traded for Pronger.
Yeah, but that's what I mean though. Like
he never lived up to his potential. No, I will say the first year he was here, I was like, oh my god, Lucas Spiza is awesome. Yeah. I thought he was going to be awesome, and I think he got ruined personally. Oh man, we're at an hour 15 already, Chris. We're like, oh, we're gonna make this short. It's late tonight. Jesus.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
Yeah, almost midnight. No problem.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a couple. I don't know. You want to do one more topic and then we'll end it here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Spiza was. Yeah, but again, he's a solid guy, but we took him with the expectation he was going to be like a legit top 3 dude for the team, and he looked that way early. Sorry, I should put it up here on the screen. And he looked that way early, and I actually really like Spiza. I was upset when the Flyers traded him. I was a big Spiza fan, but when you got Chris Pronger coming the other way, like again, this might be the type of trade we need to make this year, and I don't think it includes Spiza. Hopefully, it doesn't include Zamula, but Zamula is a guy. I don't think York is going anywhere. But maybe they have to trade York. I'm sorry. Oh my God, Zamula, and a couple first-round picks to get a Drew Doughty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's what's required to bring in a guy who can change your franchise. Pronger was a franchise-changing player. Shea Weber is a franchise-changing player. Roman Yossi, franchise. You don't normally find that. Dougie Hamilton, nope. Not a franchise-changing player. Very good player. Very good player. Top pairing defenseman. Franchise-changing, not sold on that one.
I'm going to ask you this to end it off. I just thought about him because I was thinking about what you said about like teams that like don't have much money. What were your thoughts if they were to try to get Cam Fowler? You think he would fit in?
I mean, at that point, it's another Shane Gostisbehere situation, in my opinion. A puck-moving type of guy, slightly under size.
Better defensively, though.
Sure, but how much better?
I think better enough. Play top 4.
I think goes to the top 4 defenseman, to be honest with you. I think our team stinks overall at defense. Like, look, if Ghost goes to Vegas, for example, you don't think
dude, everybody says Vegas. So
just because they're a great team, right? You put Ghost on a great team, put him on the Penguins.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get different results. It's easy to pick on one guy and be like, he stinks. It's really not like that. It's a team game. Mm-hmm. It's a team game. The guy's got a lot of talent. I like Cam Fowler. I wouldn't be opposed to it, Chris. I just don't think it's exactly what we're looking for. I think OEL maybe, but even OEL might not be necessarily even that guy.
I kind of looked at, but
it's possible.
I looked at Fowler and Ekman Larson kind of the same. I guess maybe that was just a misjudgment by me, but
no. I similar type of player. I think Larson is a level above. Like that's how I see Ghost. I see Larson is just. He's better defensively and offensively than both guys.
And it would be kind of hard for Fowler because he is 6.5 with 5 years left, and he has a 4-team no-trade clause, which is modified.
Yeah. I mean, you could waive it to go to a team like Philly, potentially.
But
I'd be more interested
I don't think he wants to go east either.
I'd be more interested in Hampus Lindholm from that team. That's the type of guy I would want from there.
I'm going to have Manson.
Yeah, that also. One of those guys would be... Maybe that's possible. I mean, that actually, you know what? To fairness to everybody here, that is the type of team that maybe is looking to rebuild. Yeah. Right? They might be moving on from Getzlaff.
I mean, they're second worst in the league right now.
That's what I'm saying. So that is a team that'd be like, all right, maybe we blow it up. Because
haven't they really been blowing it up for a couple of years?
Exactly.
They're kind of in the middle of it.
Ricard Raquel is going to be a UFA this offseason. Mm-hmm. We're probably not bringing him in, but he's a guy I really like. Like. If they decide to start over,
I think Henriquez too.
Yeah, but again, if you're going for a guy like Manson, right, you're trading Zamula and a first-round pick to get him, probably.
Yeah. Would Manson?
You know what I mean?
I think Manson will be good.
That
a top 4 guy.
Yeah,
that's a veteran.
It could be what the Flyers choose to do. Like we don't necessarily want to give up on a certain player, but we're not. It's not about that. It's like you said. There's a window here. Right, it's not like the window, but we need a certain thing right now. Gibson is a great. I feel bad for Gibson. Yeah, he's a great goalie, and obviously a bad team.
Yeah, I do too. It sucks because he's a great goalie. He's just on a shit team.
He's one of the best young goalies in the league. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make sure Carter Hart doesn't have that type of future, and I don't think he will. Again, I am not panicking, but I really do want to see Fletcher make a nice move, just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. This team needs a veteran defenseman like all hell. I mean, Niskanen it's noticeable, it's very noticeable to us, right? We see it. We watch it. When they start spiraling, nobody's there to stop it. And it's easy to have a guy like Justin Braun out there to calm people down, but he can't do it all. He literally can't play an offensive game. Like we were laughing that he scored a goal. It's not that we don't respect him. I really like him, especially defensively. He's very good, but we need a guy who can do what Provorov does, and he maybe has 6 years on Provorov in the NHL. Like that's 6, 7, 8 years. I'll take a guy who's 35. I don't care. Pronger was 35 when he signed here. You know?
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up here, Chris. We're at an hour and 20. We even went way above what we wanted to do. Any other comment before we wrap this one up?
This one's Aaron right here. That's just my goddamn name. He said, "What's up?"
Aaron, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I guess this one they say from Amadeo. Imagine Toronto tries to get Gibson because isn't Anderson a free agent? He is, and they've talked about moving Anderson for like 3 years.
I think he has injuries this year, right?
He does. Yeah, that's why they got Riddick. That's why they went out and got David Riddick.
They could. We don't know. Be honest with you guys, we don't know what's going to happen this offseason. Yeah. We like to pretend like we do, but it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be kind of a crazy offseason all around. So expansion, COVID.
It's going to be like they shock the world season.
Yeah. Well, new TV deal, weird season, short off season, right? The draft is going to be weird as
Flyers
hell.
Too.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be a weird off season, but it's going to be a fun off season.
Yeah,
and it's going to be at least the year to be bad. It's a good year to be bad in the sense that it's going to be a short off season, so we don't have to wait too long, right? And there's all these opportunities to see change for us, which is what we really want to see. And luckily, the Flyers have a very stacked cupboard. You know, we can make almost any trade we want. Did somebody say, I got to look at this. Can Kevin Hayes turn into line A type of player? No. I'm not trying to be insulting. Kevin Hayes is a defensive two-way center. Two-way center. Yeah, we're getting late. It's getting late. Yeah. Two-way center. Line A is a I don't want to say one-dimensional, but let's just say one-dimensional because I think he'll evolve out of that as he gets older. He's still very young. Has, yeah, he's very young, so he's going to get better. I like Line A. I'm not shitting on him. Yeah. But Line A is a shooter. He's a winger shooter. Think about more in the sense of John LeClair, right? So you're comparing like John LeClair is Line A and Rod Brindamore is Kevin Hayes, right? And I would rather take Brindamore and LeClair over both players.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Cool. It looks like we have one more comment here. What do you think is starting point for Seth? We mentioned this earlier. If you want to get Seth Jones, you got to move Myers. You got to move a first.
Something like that.
I would say Myers probably. It would be Myers a first. Maybe another first potentially, but Myers a first and probably another good prospect. Maybe it would be Zamula. Maybe it'd be a guy like Jay O'Brien.
Wiley.
Probably another roster player. Maybe Lawton. Yeah, maybe something like that. Lawton, a first, a second or a third, but maybe a third, and Phil Myers. I think it would take because Seth Jones is.
I don't know if you heard me. I said Wiley.
Wiley. I'm sorry. Yeah, it could be Wiley, but it would be a large package because the reality is Seth Jones has potential to be a franchise defenseman. He's not there yet, but just like Provorov, he's a Norris candidate guy. He's very young. Like, imagine what would a team have to offer us for Provorov? Like, do you see what I'm saying? I've already said this. Like, unless I'm trading Provorov for like Jack Eichel or Austin Matthews, it's not happening, right? Maybe I could go to the Sabres and be like, hey, any interest in moving, what's his name? I almost said Sandin.
Ristolainen?
No, the other guy.
Dahlin.
I would love to steal Dahlin. Oh my God, that would be incredible. We could grab Rasmus Dahlin. That team is in shambles. I would love to try to steal him. But again, you see, people gave up on Dahlin already. That kid, the sky is the limit. They were begging
for a number 1 overall pick. They got it, and then...
And they have Dahlin and Eichel, and both people are like, whatever. This is what happens when your team stinks. And again, McDavid is incredible. Again, McDavid is on the path, because I'm looking at Amadeo's thing here. McDavid's on the path to being one of the best players ever born. You know, like we have Crosby, we have Ovechkin. McDavid is right there with them and has potentially be even better than they are. He is truly a special, special human being. Like what we see there, you're not going to see that other places.
No.
You're just not going to see many, like not many guys can do what he does. It is another LeBron James, right? It's a Kobe Bryant. It's a Michael Jordan. That's what he is.
Tom Brady.
It's an Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
Eric Lindros, without injuries, would be by far the best flyer of all time. Better than Bobby Clark. That's why they traded Forsberg and then some to get him. And Forsberg was a elite player, franchise player, and Lindros was still better than him. So if you can get a guy like McDavid, you freaking go for it. And look, Edmonton still stinks. Unfortunately for him. They'll get better. I have a feeling that won't stay. There's no way that'll last. He's too damn good. He's too damn young. Eventually they'll be able to attract talent. Either that or he's going to leave town. All right, let's cut it. We're at an hour and a half. Thank you, everybody. Yo, this was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. You guys aren't aware, we're doing a partnership here, right? So Chris has his Flyers Fan Mania, and then we have Flyers Nitty Gritty, right? So we're both going to do these together, but we both have our own content, and obviously we're going to keep doing these, guys. We were trying to do every Monday, but I don't think we're going to do Mondays. We'll probably do Tuesdays or something. But we're going to keep these going. So I hope that you guys enjoy it because, we're enjoying this a lot, and we love talking to you guys.
It's fun. Yeah, I love doing this stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Follow Chris on Twitter and Instagram, Flyers Fan Mania 93. On both.
Instagram. Twitter is _ Chris Maher.
Right, yeah, you changed your name. I'm sorry. And then me, I'm Y Wolok on everything. And then also Flyers Nitty Gritty. I think it's Flyers Nitty. I know Flyers Nitty. On Twitter. Follow that stuff. Again, subscribe, comment, like any type of stuff like that you guys do. 100% helps us. If you guys can upvote our videos, it's a huge help to us. And it's harder to get than you think. A lot of people don't subscribe, and a lot of people don't give us thumbs up. It's not required by any stretch, but it definitely helps us out. Thank you so much, Revolution 14. Really, really appreciate that. And FedEx Pope 223. I love that name. Thank you guys. Really, really appreciate it. Love that you guys are coming on. And we'll again keep the comments going. Really like it. If we missed you this time, we'll definitely make sure to we start remembering. Oh, I see LA Parties. I knew who that is. What's up, buddy?
It's Andy.
What?
It's Andy.
Yeah, it's Andy. I mean, look at that sexy picture. That's his sister. Is that your sister who took that, Andy?
I don't know if he's still in here.
I don't know if he's still on. He's got this awesome picture. Oh, check out LA Parties. He actually just released an album. He writes for us, Flyers Nitty Gritty. So if you guys haven't checked it out, he's got pretty cool music. I compare it to Weezer, though he doesn't like that, but it's like pop punk, it's like pop punk, pop, rock music with a little grunge overtone to it. It's a little dirtier, but it's good stuff. Oh, this one's a self-portrait. He's still on. Okay, cool. It was the other one with the tiger picture. He's got some cool stuff on there, but definitely check out his stuff. And I think he just had a release party and stuff. So make sure to check out his music. I'm going to keep sharing everybody's stuff. All right, Chris, anything you want to say?
Good show. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again, everybody. And remember to always stay gritty.